Oh, I require the ability to share my screen. Damodar Prabhu. Just give me a minute. Damodar Prabhu, I require the ability to share my screen. Okay, just see how this can be fixed. So it's coming. In a couple of minutes it should be activated. Then I'll be able to share my screen. In the meanwhile, I'm not able to find my schedule for Bhagavatamrita Vicara. Where is that? For some peculiar reason, I'm not able to get it. Why can't I get it? I don't know why. I need to. Okay. Now I can share my screen. Okay, what are the verses that I'm meant to cover today? For some reason, I'm not able to access my own Excel file also.
So you have to cover up to 15182
From
153 to 182.
Okay. 3 to 182, 153. Okay. That is Shri Brahma Samhitayam. So this before. No. This one, this last time. Hours. Okay, close. Three types of Paramatma. Narayana Stone is also we saw. Okay, here it is. Okay, text 153 onwards. Yes. Put my phone in silent. Shri Brahma Samhitayam. Shri Brahma Samhitayam. Yasyaiva Vishwasita Kala Mathavalambya Jivanti Roma Vilaja Jagadanganatha Vishnu Mahan Srihayasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Iti. Sri Brahma Samhita states, Brahma and other lords of the mundane worlds appear from the pores of Mahavishnu and remain alive for the duration of one of his exhalations. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, of whose personality Mahavishnu is the portion of a portion. So these three Gunavataras, they remain alive, meaning they are manifested only during the period this Mahapurusha, this Mahavishnu, he exhales. So when he breathes in, then dissolution happens. So here is clear evidence that this Vishnu form is actually a plenary portion of Krishna. Okay. अतः पुरुष एवास्य कृष्णस्यांशो भवेत् यदि तद्विलासस्तु वितरां भवेत् क्षीराब्धि नायकः. If the Purusha is thus an Amsha of Krishna, certainly the Purusha's expansion, the Lord who lies on the milk ocean, must be as well. Siddhantartham niyojayati athayati. So this verse expresses a conclusion. This is the algebra of transcendence. If B is an Amsha of A and C is an Amsha of B, then C is also an Amsha of A. Kshiravishai Vishnu, therefore, through whom avatars generally appear in this world, is undoubtedly a partial expansion of Krishna. Nano Dutiya Skandhetu, Yovatirno Yado Kule, Kim Vidhatra Sahisita Krishna, Esha Tayoditaha. But our objector says, doesn't Lord Brahma say in the second canto that he who descended into the Yadu family was generated from white and black hairs? Nirastopi prativadi nistataptvat vakyartha abhasam ashritya punah pratyavartishthate nananti. Even though this objector, this opponent has been refuted because he is shameless, he takes the superficial meaning of certain statements and he again presents an objection. Even after being soundly defeated, our shameless Purvapakshi, the person who presents objections, is called a Purvapakshi, cannot admit Krishna's unrivaled supremacy. Now he resorts to juggling words. If Krishna were not an Amsha of the Lord of the milk ocean, then why does Brahma say this to Narada about Krishna's appearance? Tathahi bhume suretar varut vimarditaya klesha vyayaya kalaya sita Krishna kesha jatah karishyati jana nupalakshya margrah karmani chatma mahimo panibandhanani. Thus, when the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of kings who have no faith in God, the Lord, just to diminish the distress of the world, descends in his primitive portion, appearing from a white and a black hair. And just to expand his transcendental glories, he acts extraordinarily. No one can properly estimate how great he is. So then, Yadi Kshiravadi Pater Krishna Nasyat, if Krishna were not to be a portion of Kshiravadi Vishnu, then Bhume Suretare Ityetad Vakyam Narudam Prati Brahmana Katham Sangachate. How will this particular statement, from second canto, text 156, how can this be accepted as being a valid statement? The Suras are the demigods and others who obey the laws of God. The Suretaras means those other than the Suras, are the demons and atheists who become prominent from time to time. At the end of Dwapar Yuga, 5,000 years ago, the earth was overburdened by Suretara kings, whose armies disturbed the peaceful life of the Suras. This second canto verse summarizes an event more elaborately described in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva. So this particular verse, it is in line with the text of the Mahabharata. And the statement is here. Sachapikesho harir udbhav he shuklamekam aparam chapi krishnam Sachapikesha va vishatam yadunam kulestriyau rohini devakim cha tayoreko balabhadro babhuva yo sau shvetas tasya devasya kesha krishnodvitiyah keshapah sambabhuva kesho yo sau varnatah krishna uttah. These verses, our objector interprets as Lord Hari, Kshirochai Vishnu, then pulled two hairs from his head, one white and the other black. These hairs descended into the dynasty of the Yadus. The two good women, Rohini and Devaki. Of the two hairs of the Supreme Lord, the white one became Balabhadra, and the other, said to be black, became Krishna, Keshava. Thus, our objector concludes that Krishna must be an Amsha of Kshirodakashai Vishnu. Maivam bho shruyatamasya padyasyartho vidhiyate kalaya shilpa naipunyam vishesha vidhinasita baddha Krishna atishyama keshayineti vigraha sa evetyasya vaidagdhi visheshotkarsha iritaha. No, my dear sir, not like this. Please hear my explanation. Using a special artistic skill, Krishna ties his very black hair. This is the proper analysis of the compound word Sita Krishna Keshaha. It is a description of the Lord's exceptional ingenuity. It is a key expression that is subjected to various understandings is Sita Krishna Keshaha. Sita Krishna Keshaha, which is interpreted to mean appearing from the white and black hairs. So this translation is in line with that superficial meaning. But there is a deeper meaning behind it, which is presented here by Rupa Goswami. वसुदेव गृहे साक्षात् इत्यादि पद्य प्रघट्टेन कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयं इत्यादिन च परछन्दायाः दूर अपास्तत्वात् तस्य पद्यस्य तद् अर्थगन्धोऽपि न सम्भाव्य इत्याहमेवमिति. Then Srila Rupa Goswami considers that there are statements such as the one that said that like the statement made by Kshiroksha Vishnu, that the Supreme Transcendental Person the original Supreme Transcendental Person will himself appear in the home of Vasudeva, as well as statements such as Krishna Subhagwan Swayam. But Krishna is the original personality of God. So on the basis of such statements, Srila Rupa Goswami, he has already dealt with all these apprehensions, and therefore the current words of Srimad Bhagavatam that is taken up for discussion, that does not have any meaning that contradicts the meaning that is presented in these two verses. What is that meaning? That is stated here. Kala can mean not only plenary expansion, but also art. And Sita can mean not only white, but also tide. The speaker of this verse fittingly alludes to Krishna's all-attractive charm by describing how Krishna wears his beautiful black hair. Tumvaya kalayam shena syat sitashyama keshakaha sa evatravatirno bhut sri leela puruto purushottamaha. Or an alternative explanation, the same Lord who has white and black hair in his partial expansion has now descended as Sri Leela Purushottam. But the Purupakshi persists. You have not shed light on the Mahabharata's description of Lord Vishnu creating Krishna and Balaram from his black and white hairs. Here is the explanation. The Hari mentioned in the verses from Mahabharata is Kshiroksha Vishnu, who according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, appears as a Kala, an expansion of the Swayamrupa Lord. The Swayamrupa, whose Kala is Kshiroksha Vishnu, appears on the earth as Krishna and exhibits his incomparable pastimes. But how do you explain the statement that Lord Vishnu pulled out two of his hairs which entered women of the other dynasty? Asks the Purvapakshi. The objector has this question. There is a simple explanation. In this context, the word Kesha can be understood in its less common sense as a ray of light. The Mahabharata also supports this idea in the Narayaniya section, where Krishna tells Arjuna, Amshavo ye prakashante mamate Kesha samgita sarvadya keshavam tasmat mama akut munisattama. The rays of effulgence that emanate from me are called Keshas. And for this reason, I am called Keshava by the all-knowing best of sages. So the objection, the Purva Paksha is thus finally revealed as a mistaken interpretation when we understand that Lord Brahma says in the second canto, two rays of Kshiroksha Vishnu, one white and one black, entered into Balaram and Krishna while they were present in their mother's wombs. This is the actual meaning of that Mahabharata verses. The Mahabharata consistently uses the word Kesha in the sense of ray. Two examples are its description of Krishna Balaram's descent, its account of Narada Muni seeing multicolored rays of light entering the two lords, and Srimad Bhagavatam states unequivocally using the phrase Mahadamsha Yuktaha, that Krishna's Purusha Amshas enter him when he comes down to this world. So Shanta Rupesh Vitarai Swarupai Abhyardyamane Swanakampithatma Paravaresho Mahadamshayukto Hyajo Pijato Bhagavan Yathali. The personality of Godhead, the all-compassionate controller of both the spiritual and material creations, is unborn. But when his peaceful devotees are abused by antagonists, he takes birth, just like fire accompanied by his mighty Amshas. Kimcha Margande Yena Vajraya Vishnu Dharmottare Sputam Labda Layabdhisto Niruddho Yam Pitate Iti Kirtitam. Furthermore, Markandeya declines explicitly to Vajra in the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. This Lord Aniruddha, who remains in the ocean of annihilation, is your father. तत्र वज्र प्रश्नः कस्त्वसौ बालरूपेण कल्पान्तेषु पुनः पुनः दृष्टो यो न त्वया ज्ञातस्तत्र कौतूहलं मम. There we find this question from Vajra in Vishnu Dharmottara. During your experiences of annihilation again and again, you saw a person with a small child's form whom you could not recognize. Who was that? I'm very curious about this. Markandeya Uttaram, Markandeya's answer. Bhuyo bhuyas tasau drishto maya devo jagatpatihi kalpakshaye navidyata sammaya mohiteya vaita. Markandeya's answer. It was the Supreme Lord, the Master of the universe, whom I saw again and again at the end of the Kalpa. But being bewildered, I could not recognize him. Kalpakshaye veditetu tam tu devam pitamahat aniruddham vijanami pitaram te jagatpatim iti. When the annihilation was over, however, from grandfather Brahma, I learned that it had been your father, Lord Aniruddha, the Lord of the universe. So here you can clearly see that Lord Brahma, he's under his guidance. The universe is created after the annihilation is over. So here, Prativadinam Bhandatvam Bodhitum Vishnu Dharma Prakriya Vishnu Dharma Prakriyayam Prakriyam Aha Kimcha Ityadi Prakatartham. In order to reveal the mental confusion, intellectual confusion of his ideological opponents, he shows the methodology adopted in Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. Lord Brahma is considered the grandfather of everyone in the universe because he is the father of the first Prajapatis. Literally speaking, Markandeya's grandfather was Dhata, a son of Bhrigus, and Bhrigu is one of the Prajapatis born from Brahma. Vajra or Vajanaha was a son of Sri Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha. Yudhishthira placed him on the throne of Mathura just after Krishna's disappearance. Maharaj Vajra revived the depopulated description of Mathura by naming many new villages named after Krishna's pastimes. Atra Karika, some verses of explanation by Srila Rupa Goswami. Atrakarika. Anyatha Munivaryoyam Avadishyaditam Tata Tam Shri Krishnam Vijanami Prapitam Ham Evate. An explanatory verse. Had it been the other way, had Krishna been an expansion of pure Shai Vishnu, this best of sages would have had to say, I learned that it had been your great grandfather Sri Krishna. Atah Keshavatamaratva Brahmo Vyarat Rahatah. Thus, the erroneous notion that Krishna is incarnated from a strand of hair is cast far away. So the idea is that sometimes Rupa Goswami Prabhu gives a Purva Paksha, an opposition view, which is an attempt to understand how these Vedic statements can be put together and can derive a consolidated understanding. But sometimes you don't put it together in the right way and you come up with erroneous notions. So Jiva Goswami has also dealt with this in Krishna Sandarbha. Nanvastu Purushadibhya Shashtam Tasya Aghavidvishaha Kintu Shri Vasudevotra Sarvaishwaryam Jevitaha Tipa Pada Vibhutyoscha Nanarupa Ivastitaha Unmilat Bharamar Tanda Parartham Mudharajyati Kvachin Navaghana Shyamam Kvachin Jambu Nadat Prabhaha Mahavaikunthanadasya Vilasatpena Vishrutaha Paramatma Valajnana Vinitejo Viranvitaha. Someone may say we can grant that the enemy of Agha precedes Purushas and other expanded forms of God, but this is because he is actually Sri Vasudeva, possessing all the powers of Godhead. That Lord Vasudeva is present in many forms in both the triple quadrant and single quadrant realms. The triple quadrant realm is material world, is a spiritual world, and the single quadrant realm is referred to the material worlds. He has an attractive effulgence equal to that of countless newly risen suns. Sometimes he has the complexion like a new dark blue cloud, and sometimes he has a radiant golden complexion. On the authority of scripture, he is well known to be the personal expansion of the Supreme Lord of Vaikuntha. He is the supreme super soul endowed with all strength, knowledge, potency, and brilliance. There are many Shiva Vaishnavas who are exclusively devoted to Lord Narayana of Vaikuntha. It is not difficult for them to accept that Krishna is superior to the three Vishnus who create the material world, or even that he is superior to Lord Nrsimha and Lord Ramachandra. But they cannot agree that Krishna is the original Godhead because they identify Krishna with Narayana's Vasudeva expansion. For these Vaishnavas, the Swayambhurupa is Narayana, not Krishna. So what it means is that for those who think in this manner, the extraordinary hidden glories of Lord Krishna are not revealed. Brahmadina Nrisimha Ramabhyascha. So, Nrisimha, Rama, Krishna, all of them have come from Vishnu. This is the idea of the opening. Mahavasthacha yakyatam yad yuhanam chatushtayam tasyadyoyam tathopas yash chittetat adhidaivatam tatha vishuddha sattvasya Yes, Chadishthana Muchate. Lord Vasudeva is the first member of the quadruple expansion of Godhead known as the Mahavastha or Chaturvyuha. He is worshipped as the ruling deity of consciousness situated in the heart. He is also said to be the foundation of pure spiritual substance. Among the four Vyuha expansions from Narayana, Vasudeva is the chief and the others originate from him. Nijamsho Yasya Bhagavan Shik Sankarshana Ishyate Yastu Sankarshano Vyu or Dvitiya Iti Samnataha Jivascha Syat Sarvajiva Pradurбhavas Padas Pradurбhavas Padaha. Vasudeva's personal expansion is the supreme lord known as Sri Sankarshana. Sankarshana is considered the second member of the quadruple Vyuha. Vyuha means a group. He is also called Jiva because he is the source from whom all Jivas appear in this world. So now, then what is the relationship between these other forms and Krishna? That will also be clear. Lord Sankarshana is a Vilasa expansion of Vasudeva. Advaitavadis misunderstand his name Jiva, impudently taking him to be a final conditioned soul. The Lord from whom all Jivas emanated is not a Jiva himself. That should be obvious, but nevertheless, our acharyas have taught us in this manner. Purna Sharada Shubhramshu Parartham Mudhara Jyutihi Upasyo Yamahankare Sheshanyasta Nijamshakaha Smararate Ratharmasya Sarvantaka Suraddusham Antaryamitvamasthaya Jagat Samharakaha. Lord Sankarshana's attractive effulgence surpasses the soothing rays of countless full autumn moons. He is worshipped as present within false ego and is the indwelling controller of irreligion, serpents, death, Cupid's enemy Shiva, and the opponents of the demigods. He is the destroyer of the universe and he empowers Shesha with a part of his potency. Because the power to destroy resides in Lord Sankarshan, his expansion Shesha acts as the universe is destroyed. Give me a minute. Patalatalamaravya Sankarshana Mukhanada Dahanurvashiko Vishwan Vardate Vayuneritaha. From the mouth of Lord Sankarshan comes a fire, its flames shooting upward by the force of great winds. Beginning from Patala Loka, it scorches everything in all directions. The Sankarshana mentioned in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam refers to his Shesha. The epithet Antaka used here refers to Yamaraj, the lord of death. Vyuhastritiya Pradyumno Vilaso Yasya Vishwataha Yah Pradyumno Buddhi Tattva Buddhimadbir Upasyate Stuvatya Shriya Devya Nishevyata Iravrate Shuddha Jambun Nada Prakhya Vachan Nira Ghan Chavihi Nidanam Vishwasargasya Kamanyasta Nijamshakaha Vidhe Prajapati Namcha Raginamcha Sparasyacha Antaryamatvam Apanna Sargam Samyak Karotyasau. From scripture, it is known that Lord Pradyumna, the third member of the Chaturvyuha, expands from Sankarshana. Intelligent persons worship him as present within the principle of intelligence. In Ilavata Varsha, the goddess of fortune serves him and prays to him. He has a complexion like pure gold, or sometimes like a dark blue cloud. The same form, having two different colors at different times. He is the basis of universal creation and he empowers Cupid, Kamadeva, with a part of his potency, becoming the inner controller of Brahma, of the universal progenitor. of all persons affected by lust and of Cupid himself, is certain he carries out the process of creation. The personality Kama is the demigod named Cupid. The personality Kama is the demigod Kandharpa, an Avesha expansion of Lord Vidvan. Generally, all materialistic persons are ragis, slaves of lust, including most human beings and demigods. Lust, anger, greed. These three are most important out of the anarthas. Vyuhasturyo niruddhakyo vilaso yasya shasyate yoniruddho manastatve manishibhirupasyate nilaji muta sankasho vishwarakshana para dharmasyayam manonam cha devanam bhubujam tatha antaryamitum asthaya kurute jagatasthitim. The scripture reveals Aniruddha, the fourth member of the Chaturvyuha as Pradyumna's expansion. The wise worship of Aniruddha as present within the principle of mind, his complexion resembling the color of a blue cloud. He is dedicated to protecting the universe, acting as the inner controller of the principles of religion. The Manus, the demigods and earthly kings, he sustains the creation. Moksha dharmentu manasasya pradyumno di daivatam aniruddhastvahankarasyeeti tatraiva kirtitam. The moksha dharma, however, describes Pradyumna as the mind's presiding deity and Aniruddha as the deity of false ego, alternate opinion. Sarvesham Pancharatranam Apyesha Prakriya Mata. All the Pancharatras concur, all the Pancharatras agree concerning which Vyuha expansion rules which subtle principle of material life. The opinion of the Mahabharata's Moksha Dharma section and the Pancharatra Agamas differs from the Puranas. Padmetu Parama Vyumna Purvadye Dik Chatushtaye Vasudevadayo Vyuhas Chatvara Krita Kramat. By contrast, the Padma Purana says that the four members of the Vyuha, Narayana, Vasudeva, and the others preside respectively over the four directions of the spiritual sky beginning from the east. So here we notice that sometimes the scriptures, when they talk about Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, they are talking about those who preside over various directions of the spiritual sky. Four directions. So therefore, there is also Chaturvyuha. Another type of Chaturvyuha is this kind of Chaturvyuha. Vasudeva is in charge of a particular element of the subtle body. Sankarsana is an element of some other element of the subtle body, like that. In different ways. तथा पाद विभूतो च निवसन्ति क्रमादिमे जलावृत्तिस्थ वैकुंठस्थितत्वे धर्मपति पुरे सत्योत्वे वैष्णवे लोके नित्याख्ये देव द्वारकापुरे शुद्धोदाद उत्तरे श्वेत द्वीपे चैरावती पुरे श्रीराम स्थितानंत क्रोड़ पर्यंक धामनि. So these are all various places. They also reside respectively in the following regions of the single quadrant realm. Eka Pada Vibhuti, or it's also called Pada Vibhuti, refers to material existence. In the Vaikuntha region called Vedavatipura, located within the watery covering of the universe, on the planet of Vishnu above Satyaloka, in the eternal Dwarakapura, and on Shvetadvipi, to the north of the ocean of pure water, in a place called Airavatipura, on the bed of Anantashesha's body, in the spiritual abode, within the material, within the milk ocean. So here, notice that the Tatavyuhas are also present in this manner. The four Vyuha expansions are also present in the material world, the finite and imperfect part of God's domain, here called the single quadrant realm. Each in his own transcendental metropolis, Pura. Vasudeva resides in Vedavati, in the watery realm that is one of the cloudings of this universe. The Narayaniya section of the Mahabharata states that Vasudeva also lives inside the universe proper. These accounts do not contradict each other, because they refer to two different forms of Vasudeva. Sankarshan lives in the Vishnu Loka above Brahma's planet. Pradyumna lives in the Dwaraka, known as Nitya, and Aniruddha lives on Shvetadvip. So in this way, we notice that the Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, they are found in various realms according to the scriptures. Notice how many times he is referring to the scriptures. Satutniye Pachatantre Navavyuha Kakirtita Chatwaro Vasudevadya Narayana Simhakau Ayagrivo Mahakro Brahma Cheti Navodita Tatra Brahma to Vidyaya Purvokta Vidhaya Harihi. In one place, the Satvata Tantra is a Pancharatric text. Talks about a Vyuha. Vyuha means a group of 9 members. Now, in this group, everybody is a Vishnu Tattva. All the members of this group each and every member of this group is a Vishnu Tattva. 4 of these are Vasudeva and the other members of the Chaturvyuha, who are joined by Narayana, Narasimha, Hayagriva, Varaha, and Brahma to make 9 in accordance with our earlier elucidation. One should understand the Brahma in this group to be the Supreme Lord Hari. So this already came in first part, second chapter, texts 20 to 21. Kintu vyuhastu chatvaro rajan mujachadushtayah ajasra paramaishwarya maryada paribhushitaah. However, it is the members of the quadruple Vyuha, all with 4 splendid arms, who are decorated with the ultimate limit of all eternal godly occurrences. Atrapi Vasudevoyam Sampurnananda Sampravaha Aishwaryado Nirvishesha Parma Vyomanayaka Adhyana Visarvesham Adibhuta Suparvanam. Among them, moreover, Vasudeva is the brimming reservoir of total ecstasy, not different from the Lord of the spiritual sky in power and other assets. You will often come across Paravyomanatha, Lord of the spiritual sky. This expression comes in some of our Gaudiya Vaishnavacharya writings to refer to Lord Narayana, the husband of Lakshmi Devi. In power and other assets, he is the first of all primeval deities. The Vaishnava making this presentation does not want us to feel disappointed about Krishna's inferiority to Lord Narayana. Therefore, he is assuring us that Vasudeva Krishna is the most potent of Narayana's expansions. Even now, you get to hear these kind of talks. He is the first of Narayana's associates, closer than all the other forms of God, and closer than all the demigods. For all his good intentions, this Vaishnava is less than 100% straightforward in his attitude toward Krishna, disrespecting him by offering faint praise. So this Vaishnava refers to this objector, the person who is presenting this objection. Ityashanke sa evayam Krishnakhyas sannavatarat Vasudeva taya yasma Sarvatraisha Subhishrutaha. Thus I conclude that he, Vasudeva, incarnated as Krishna. Indeed, Krishna is known everywhere by the name Vasudeva. That's a fact. If you look at the Itihasas and Puranas, you will often find Krishna being referred to as Vasudeva. Notice the dash above the first A. It is not Vasudeva, which is also Vasudeva, but there is no dash above the first A. So, note the spelling. Naivamyuktam Shrinutata Samadhanam Vidhiyate Adya Vyuhada Vishreshta Kachate Devaki Sutaha. No, this conclusion is not right. Please hear my explanation. The son of Devaki is said to be superior even to the first Vyuha. First Vyuha means the first set of expansions. Good explanation. Tathacha Shri Pratham Ete Chaksha Karabusa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Iti. The first canto thus states, all the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, but Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. So to refute this argument presented by someone who believes that Narayana is Swayam Bhagavan, Srila Rupa Goswami cites evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam. If Krishna were only an Amsha of Narayana, Suta Goswami is claiming that Krishna Swayam Bhagavan would be meaningless. Atra Karike, 2 verses of explanation. Namah Purushasyeite Sri Varaha Jhashadayaha Amsha Atravatara Kumaradya Kalamata Turbhinnopa Krame Krishna Bhagavan Purushottama Swayam Ityapayapasya Vasudeva Vatarata. 2 karikas on this verse. Incarnations in this world like Sri Varaha and Sri Matsya are Amshas of the Purusha, who is also called Kuman. The Kumaras and others are his Kalas, which means expansions of his expansions. Using the word to indicate a change in the discussion. This verse reveals Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Swayam rules out the possibility of accepting him as an avatar of Vasudeva. Okay. Amara Ghosh gives 2 meanings of the word to generally means but. Tusya Bhede Avadharani. To signifies either a change or a distinction. A distinction in understanding. It signifies that. So, on what basis are you saying, making all these arguments? Then Srila Rupa Goswami gives evidence. Tatraha Shriniti Pramanamaha Etecha Amsa Kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishnasya Vasudevadve Swayam iti Vyarthapsyavityarthaha. Tur Bhinno Bakrame iti. Okay. These things are already covered. All right. I think no one more verses, and let me take this up also. Shri Dashami cha evam eva uttam asyapidev pusho mandanu grahasya swekshamayasya antumuttam ayasya kobi neshe mahit to avasitum manasantarena sakshat tavaivakim utatma suhana bhudehe iti. That's also this statement in the 10th canto. My dear Lord, those who have shown great mercy to me, who appear just to fulfill the desires of your pure devotees, not to contain the conditioned souls. Although I directly see you, with my mind completely withdrawn from material affairs, I cannot understand the genuineness of your form as Krishna, which is greater than the form of Vasudeva. Then what to speak of the extent to which realizing you is superior to the happiness of impersonal self-realization? So it's very clear. Here you have a clear explanation that Krishna's form is superior to Vasudeva's form. This is more evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam of Krishna's superiority to Vasudeva. Brahma has come down to the earth and seen with his own eyes the original personality of Godhead in the role of the young son of the king of the cowherd. He has seen that Krishna is greater than even Lord Vasudeva, who holds the title Deva, Supreme Lord. He asserts that even with his strictly disciplined mind, he cannot understand Krishna's glories. Krishna's glories refer to Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. He then mentions Krishna's great compassion for them. According to Sri Gopala Tapani Upanishad, Krishna very kindly gave Brahma his own 18-syllable mantra, and by chanting this mantra, Brahma was empowered to create the universe. Krishna showed kindness to Brahma again recently when he revealed his amazing mystic powers by expanding himself into duplicates of all the cowherd boys and calves. Now this is some thousands. Brahma also stated that Krishna appears by Svecha, the desire of his devotees. He comes to this world when and how his devotees want him to. Svecha Mayasya. That's the verse. Svecha Mayasya Natu Bhuta Mayasya Kopi. Which means so the Supreme Lord appears in response to the desires of his pure devotees. All right. Now to come up to 182. Okay, let me look at these questions. 15153 to 15182 would appreciate if only English is shared. No, I prefer to always show the original Sanskrit because that will create a good trend. We should get used to considering the texts in the original languages in which it is written. In India, when you talk about Bhagavad Gita, they are talking about the Sanskrit text of Bhagavad Gita. A translation of Bhagavad Gita is not referred to as Bhagavad Gita. It is called a translation of Bhagavad Gita. It is not called Bhagavad Gita. It's not like in the West we refer to some translation of Quran, translation of Bible as Quran, Bible. But in India we don't. We're very careful about it. If a book is in a particular language, you refer to that text in that language as that text. Translations are always distinguished as translations. Translations. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his editions, in his publications, sometimes he presents a Bengali translation of some Sanskrit text. But he always says this is a paraphrase of that. And the heading will always specify. So paraphrase of that. He will never say this is that. The presiding deity of Kama, false ego, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. What do we understand by that? We have to pray to Sri Krishna to get us relief from them? Yes, of course. Yes, we must pray to Lord Krishna. Actually, if we pray to Lord Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, then these features they are also carried out by Krishna. So some devotees they prefer to think along those lines. Whereas there are others who consider that just like for protection from accidental injuries and so on, we pray to Narasimhadev. Even though Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, and all the potencies exhibited by Narasimhadev, including the potency of protection, are displayed by Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. Still, we, by Krishna's will, Krishna's devotees who follow Srimad Bhagavatam, they also pray to particular forms of the Supreme Lord for particular purposes. There is a Narayana Kavacha in Srimad Bhagavatam. There we can see, for instance, let me just give you a sample of how it looks like. Very, very interesting. Take for instance this. Okay, anything. Okay, let's take this. May Lord Narasimhadev, who appeared as the enemy of Hiranyakashipu, protect me in all directions. See, so Narasimhadev is praying for a particular purpose. Look at this. In his incarnation as Lord Boar, Varaha, he raised the planet Earth from the water at the bottom of the universe and kept it on his pointed tusks. May that Lord protect me from the ropes on the street, for a particular purpose. Similarly, may Parshuram protect me on the tops of mountains, and may the elder brother of Bharata, Lord Ramachandra, along with his elder brother Lakshmana, protect me in foreign countries. There are particular purposes. So some devotees, they pray to particular forms of the Supreme Lord. I was dealing with this. Sorry, I should have shown verses such as this. This is from 6th canto. It's called Narayana Kavacha. It's a prayer. So here, particular forms of the Supreme Lord are prayed to for particular purposes. So based on this, there are devotees who prefer to pray for particular purposes, particular reasons. Okay. Any questions? Prem goes in the. Okay, just give me a minute, 1 minute, please wait. Prem goes in the group.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, some people recite this Ram Raksha. Is that also for protection?
Yes, Rama, that is one. Buddha Kaushika Rishi, who revealed the Rama Raksha Stotra. It is a prayer to Lord Ramachandra to protect us. So generally devotees of Lord Ram, they pray to Lord Ram using that Rama Raksha Stotra. Followers of Bhagavatam, we have Narayana Kavacha.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? If there are no questions, then I can just close it. All right. If you have further questions, you can bring it up in the Telegram group. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.